Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Mythgard in Middle-earth. I am Corey Olsen, the Tolkien Professor, and as always, I am joined by my friend Grifflet. Hi, Grifflet. Good to see you. Oh, you're hanging out with Rothwald here, down here by the doors of, near and down in Non-Syrian. Near the entrance. Were you telling Rothwald all about your adventures during the marathon? Like, yeah, I totally went from the West Gate all the way to Dimrill Dale in one day, Rothwald. Yeah, it only took 14 hours. I mean, yeah, he saw you there at the beginning. I bet he didn't believe you. So, all right. So we're down here in Eregion. I just went the wrong way. No, we don't want to go into the walls of Moria. Anyway, yeah. So here we are. So okay, so Grifflet is trying to finish up Eregion. We're following, wanting to connect the dots. We saw the company off from Rivendell, and then we jumped straight into Moria. And of course, we saw evidence of the passage of the company in Moria. So we know we were following in their footsteps there, though we have yet to uncover the really cool pieces of evidence of the passage of the company and what happened there. But anyway, so we went back to Eregion. You'll remember last time, and Griffith was looking around at the campsites of the Fellowship and finding examples of hobbit carelessness, which, you know, one wants to object to and say, oh, that's just stereotypes, but it's totally true. So that all seems perfectly appropriate. We did not get to go to the Burned Tor. I got to go see the avalanche in Carothros, right? So we saw that the pass of Carothros was blocked, and we didn't get to go to the Burned Tor. So looking forward to getting to the Burned Tor here today. So yeah, that's where we are. We're down here. Going to help. So let's help Limlyre first. Okay, so I want to make sure to do announcements before I forget, because we have big announcements here today. First, I wanted to remind everybody that tomorrow, October 22nd, is the second marathon I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be doing I'm going to be streaming Wigand, my guardian, not Grifflet. And the reason for the difference, I mean, if you think about it, those of you who know me and who know the work that I do and the teaching that I do, what I like doing best is doing careful, close readings of things. But careful, close readings require you to read things more than once, right? I mean, you've got to be going through and reading something carefully before you can really make any sense of it, and begin to really pick up on the intricacies of things. Almost nothing that I've done with Grifflet, a couple things have been totally new to me, but very little of it has been totally new to me, because Grifflet is my second or third reading, basically, of the quests, when I'm sort of kind of thinking about them more, able to kind of piece them together more, a little better prepared to do a sort of a thoughtful, close reading of the storyline that the game is doing, not to mention areas of the game as well. That's, you know, what I do with Grifflet. With Wigand is my first character and my highest level character, and so when I'm streaming Wigand, I'm not doing the same kind of close reading. I'm seeing things for the first time. So if you want to get it's in a way it's much less scholarly, right? Because I haven't thought through the things, and I haven't had time to really think about the connections and observe the patterns. I'm just kind of thinking spontaneously, and sometimes I don't have enormously interesting things to say. But it also is when I have my sort of strongest reactions, when I'm seeing things for the first time. So when I'm streaming Wigand, it's a totally different kind of streaming experience in many ways. Certainly a different experience for me. So just to in case you haven't seen one of my Wigand streams before, that's what I'm going to be doing all day tomorrow. I'm going to start at noon Eastern time, and I'm going to stop at 8 p.m. And this time I mean it. I'm going to stop at 8 p.m. because unlike with Grifflet, where I had my goal, I was determined to carry on until I got to Dimrill Dale, even though it ended up taking me 14 hours. I was determined to get there. I don't have a similar end goal with Wigand. So I'm just going to plan to stop at 8. And I do hope, as far as what I hope to accomplish, I'm going to do the Brownlands. I should be able to get through most everything I want to do in the Brownlands. So I don't know what there is to do in the Brownlands, but I'm not going to try to do everything. I'm going to try to do every single side quest in the Brownlands. I always try with Wigand to suppress my completionist tendencies so that I can continue pushing forward. Anyway, I'm going to do the Brownlands. I'm going to cross into Rohan. I understand I'm going to get my warhorse. I don't know where I do that or how I do that, but presumably I'll learn. So I trust I will be able to do the Brownlands. I trust I'll be able to get my war steed, and then after that, I'm going to go war banding with some folks. Don't know. That's what I think is gonna. That's what, as far as I know, that's what's gonna happen. I don't have any more definite plan than that. But I am planning to end at 8 p.m. So we'll do an 8-hour stream tomorrow at noon, and so that's the second to last LOTRO event in our fall fundraising campaign that we've been doing. And I just want to thank everybody again for your generosity, those who have made a tax-deductible donation to support Signum University. I really appreciate it. Signum could not keep going, and I would not have the freedom to continue doing this if Signum didn't carry on existing. And Signum University is really trying to make a big difference in education in America, and we have a great program which we've built from the ground up, and we're starting to do some really exciting things. So I hope you'll be interested in supporting our educational programs there, including, of course, our LOTRO stuff. Anyway, so I can see your skepticism in the chat room here as to whether or not I'm actually going to stop at 8. I'm not saying I'll probably stop at the stroke of it, but it's going to be, I'm totally stopping at 8. Because I'm probably going to be drawing some familial aggro if I don't stop at 8 o'clock, I suspect. I know you guys know how that is. So anyway, that's totally the plan. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I'll talk to Limlier here and carry on in a second. The other thing I wanted to mention, for those of you who aren't yet, if you're enjoying my streams, make sure to follow. You click on the heart over there on the Signum U channel. That's my normal, sort of my home channel. Of course, I do the Grifflet streams here on LOTRO stream, which is awesome. But I do a bunch of other streams. So like when I do, sometimes I'll do totally unplanned Wiggin streams on the Signum U channel. So I do a bunch of other streams on the Signum channel as well, and often those are totally unplanned and quite spontaneous. When I happen to have time, I'll just do a stream. So you won't know about it if you don't follow the stream. So if you want to get a notification when I start streaming, yesterday, for instance, I did a sort of a ninja stream, as Druid's Fire said, just a totally spontaneous, started streaming yesterday afternoon. And that was really fun. I'll tell you a little bit more about the stream that I did yesterday, but in a second. Let's talk to Limlier here first.
Might you spare a moment of your time?
I sure can. I know I've been standing here and you're like, I've been waiting for you to spare a moment of your time. Anyway, sorry, Limlier. Okay, right, much to accomplish. Totally agree. The servants of the enemy are closer at hand than even Master Elrond has feared. Oh dear. If we don't act quickly, they may discover the path of the company to the ruin of us all. We don't want that. We must devise a false trail to mislead the enemy into believing that the company has passed south near to the Gap of Rohan. Ah, that's very cunning, Limlier. Let's do that. Travel southwest of here and west of Porth Cadlis and disturb the ground there. Perhaps we can trick the foul scouts and secure more time for the company to put this place well behind them. All right. We don't want them to suspect, anyone to suspect they've actually gone into Moria. All right, so what am I meant to do? I was meant to disturb the ground. All right, we'll just, I'll just go over there and start disturbing ground. I guess I should go around this way. Okay, so the stream that I just did, I told you guys, I told you guys about, I told you guys about this last time because it was happening last Saturday for the first time. I did a stream last Saturday with my son Matthias. Matthias is 8 years old, and he is a new but enthusiastic LOTRO player. And for those of you who didn't sort of notice this or pick up on this. He's not read Tolkien yet, and playing LOTRO with where am I going? Wrong direction. That's where I'm going. Playing LOTRO with him is actually part of my insidious parental strategy to get him to read Tolkien with me, which he's always been a little bit uncertain about doing because it's weird. I have a weirder relationship with my kids reading Tolkien than most Tolkien fans do, because they know I'm like the Tolkien professor, and so it's like my job, right? It's what I do. So reading Tolkien with Dad in my family, is kind of like, it's kind of like going down to like the family shop. It's different. It's a kind of a stranger dynamic. And so I've been very cautious. See, here I was wondering how I was going to spot the place where I was supposed to set the false trail, but really that's hard to miss. That's super, super hard to miss. Okay, that's it. I just scuff around in the grass here. That seems to suggest that the spies of Saruman and Mordor are both very subtle to notice this patch of grass disturbed, and also very gullible all at the same time. But false trail seems like a good idea. Anyway, so I've been very gentle. I have two sons, Matthias, who's 13, and Nicholas, who's 18. Or sorry, 13. And feels like he's 18 already. Anyway, yeah. So an 8-year-old and a 13-year-old, and I've been Nicholas has read The Hobbit. In fact, he studied The Hobbit in school last year. I came in and talked to his 7th grade class about The Hobbit last year. He tried to pass off that he didn't know me, but it kind of got out of the bag. Anyway, so he's read The Hobbit and he's read The Lord of the Rings. But Matthias hasn't read any of it yet, and I haven't wanted to push it. I've been wanting to wait till it really came from him, and he's already kind of made noises now that we're playing LOTRO together and we're streaming, which is like a big responsibility, right? He's like, I really need to know more about this. I'm like, Matthias, I think that might be a good idea. And he's like, maybe I should read them. And I'm like, maybe we should read them together. And he's like, yeah, that might be a good idea. So yeah, working so far. Anyway, so that's part of my insidious plan. Hey, Limlar, so I scuffed the grass.
Shadow is on my spirits.
Yeah, let's...
Might you spare a moment of your time?
Okay, oh yeah. So we do more than scuff the grass. Good, let's see, what do we do? It worked! A tracking party was seen by another of my scouts close at hand to the false trail. All right. Now, we're going to trap them? Nice. Okay, southwest of here between Porthcadlus and Goylhad. Right, got it. Look to the south of the ravine that runs westward to the hilltop above for some small boulders overlooking a small clearing that lies just to the west of the tower on the edge of Nansirian. I'm so lost, Limlar. Do it again. South of the ravine that runs westward to the hilltop, small boulders and a small clearing just west of the tower on the edge of Nansirian. That would take me forever to find if I didn't have a quest arrow, Limlar, but I'm sure I'll find it. Okay, set up a false camp and lie in wait. Oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome. But why do I need to set up a camp if I'm going to wait there myself? I mean, if I'm there and I'm going to kill them, it's not going to matter the camp that they discover, right? Should I make a fire and stuff to draw them so that they think that the Fellowship is actually camping there? Okay, all right, I'm with you now. If they're believing the company has gone through the Gap of Rohan or around the White Mountains... Okay. All right, I think I'm following you, Limlar. It's a little bit convoluted. But so if we kill these scouts, how are they going to know that how is like Saruman going to know that the company went this way if his scouts are dead? Maybe I should let one of them go? I don't know. I give it up, but we'll see. We'll see how it works out. So, okay, we're heading vaguely the right direction. On the south side of the ravine, that's to the west of the tower, and small boulders overlooking a small clearing, and yeah, got it. Hey, that's the old spot. There's my old grass spot, still glowing like a beacon. Very subtle. Nobody would notice it. Okay. A clear path. This is it? This is it. Okay. Where's the... Oh, there's the tower? Up to the north of me? But I thought, isn't there another tower? Meant to be? Seriously? This is where I'm supposed to make camp? Are these the boulders? Where's the clearing? Where's the... I thought it was on the south side of it. I give it up. Okay. Yeah, I would never have found this place from your directions, if not for the fact that it was glowing with stars. It's all good. Okay. Get your game face on, Griffwood. So yeah, so my streams with Matthias, we call them Son of Wigand because my son plays a guardian. That was it was really fun on Saturday. He immediately wanted to do another one, so we did. Matthias and I did another stream yesterday afternoon. It was only a short one. We only had about an hour between school and karate, but we did a short stream yesterday, and it was really fun. I've been enjoying teaching him how to play LOTRO and showing him around. So we'll see. We're all set up to go into the Old Forest next time. So we're going to have some adventures in the Old Forest. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun. Those of you who watch that stream will notice, of course, he is connected to many other fandoms already. You will have noticed him. Of course, his character is named Charmandy. He named his character himself after one of his favorite Pokemon, and he's constantly making Harry Potter references because he's reading Harry Potter for the first time. He's actually right now like 80% of the way through the Deathly Hallows, so he's very much immersed in Harry Potter right now. So he's making all these Harry Potter references during our stream and everything. And he loves Star Wars too. Yeah, exactly, Modeler. That's why he kept calling the proprietor of the Prancing Pony Butterbeer, and casting Defindo on the ore as he was mining. Exactly. So, yeah. That's we'll see if that dies down. But he's been pretty into Harry Potter lately. Okay, all right. So anyway, but again, the point is, if you want to, we're likely not going to be able to announce those very far in advance because my son has a very complicated social calendar. So, being able to find time when we can go, so he's very eager to fit in streams when we can, but we never really know for sure when those are going to be. So do make sure that you follow the Signum U Twitch channel, and that way you can get notifications either when I come on with Wigand or when I am able to come on with Matthias, or also we broadcast our alternate Tuesday Mythgard Adventures there as well. So, lots of fun. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm lighting a fire. Yeah. Okay. So I'm definitely lighting a fire. So I'm leading them to think the fellowship is here. Here we are. I can stealth myself. Shh. There's it. All right. Oh. There's the tracker. Now I'm supposed to ambush him. Boom! Ha ha! Oh, yeah. You didn't see that coming. So now you found me. So you're thinking that you're going to report back that the company is heading south to the Gap of Rohan. Except you're not going to report back because I'm about to kill you. So the general will avenge you. Somebody else coming? Is that it? Did anybody see that? Somebody take the message that guy just was killed, but not by me. He was killed by a bunch of other people who are headed south. There was a wizard here and not one but 4 hobbits. That's right. Yeah, so that's it. Nobody else is coming, but maybe other people saw it. Maybe his body will be found. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the campfire and his body will be found, and they'll think that he came across them and was killed by them. But they're obviously heading south because obviously, right? It's only the Fellowship that would be killing the trackers who were set out to track them. So, yeah. Okay. No, I'm gonna choose to think that Limlair's plan is a very cunning plan. Yeah, that's totally what I'm going to think. So, okay. So let me go back to, I can't see anything on account of the grass. Where's Limlar? Come on, Limlar, where are you? I gotta go back down to here's the river valley. Whoa, there's water in it. Oh, no, that's just a pool. I was gonna say, oh no, who turned the Saranan back on? Oh my goodness. All right, there we go. Okay. All right, back up to Limlar. Okay, after I've been now prattling on about my streams and stuff, let me come back to lore questions. We've had a couple interesting ones. Okay. Josh has a Rohan related lore question, which is a very interesting one. So here it is. Is Elfhelm complicit in Eowyn's dereliction of duty? Did he know who Durnhelm was? Great question.
My heart cannot sing today.
Your heart can't sing today, but the scout leader's dead, and I've done a great thing. Surely that will help your heart to sing. Woo! Level 56. Go Grifflet. Oh, yeah. No thanks. Not just now. What do we got? I wish it showed... Does it show you, like, which one just came revealed? Like, what skirmish? You have to guess which one is the new one. I always hate that. Oh, that was one of the Uruk captains of Eregion, was it? Very good. All right, Limlar. Glad to help. Hope we fool them. I'm going to go back and look at the back trail then. Okay. Was Elfhelm, the Marshal, complicit? Okay, in the text, it says that Mary says that there seemed to be an understanding of some kind between Durnhelm and Elfhelm. So the question is, does that mean that Elfhelm knew all? That he actually knew that it was Eowyn? Because if it did, it means that he knew that it was her, agreed to let her come, did not reveal her presence either to Theoden or to Éomer, right? So I mean, it's like kind of a big deal if he knew about it and didn't say anything about it. There seems to be an understanding, but again, like to what extent is there an understanding, or what exactly does their understanding sort of cover? It's not certain. Kind of thinking it through, I think he has to know. If he doesn't know that it's Eowyn, think of the... So okay, I guess I'd ask this question in a couple different ways. Goodness. Can't see anything but leaves. Look, we've come to the edge of the... look, all burned trees from here. That's right. That must have been really impressive. Okay, we'll come back out over here. Darn it. Oh, hi there, Shadow Warg. Okay, so here's why I think he must have known that it was Eowyn. Think of one small thing, and this seems like a small thing, and it's kind of far removed from that reference that we get, so it's easy kind of not to think about it. But if you think it through, how does Eowyn get where she gets? Elfhelm is not riding with Theoden in that charge onto the Pelennor field. Eowyn is among his knights, among the knights of his household, Theoden's household, when they charge onto the field. Elfhelm is leading a contingent elsewhere, right? He and Grimbold are off trying to take down the rams and siege engines, right? So Elfhelm and his Eored are going a different way. So there comes a point before the charge, presumably right before the charge, when Éowyn actually separates, she's been riding with Durmheld and with Elfhelm rather in Elfhelm's Eored. She separates herself from Elfhelm's Eored and joins herself to Theoden's party. She couldn't do that. I mean, Elfhelm wouldn't allow that. I mean, one of the riders from his Eored is just like wandering off and being like, I'm just gonna put myself into the personal contingent of the king, right? That I can't see that. I don't think Elfhelm would allow that. So even just kind of starting from there, it seems to me unlikely that Elfhelm wouldn't know. So then you add the fact, if it's not her true identity as Éowyn, what other understanding is there that subsists between them, right? What else could that reference be possibly covering? I mean, you could say, for instance, well, it's just that he took this guy, this kid, Durnhelm, right, who looks like a young man, and took him in his Eored, even though, he hadn't been part of his Eored before. But I mean, presumably there's a bunch of recruits who are coming in from around the place. So that wouldn't require like a special understanding between them for them to do that. Not to mention the fact we know as well, he knows about Merry, right? He's the one who trips over Merry in the dark and tells him, when one of my favorite lines, pack yourself up, Master Bag, right? He trips over Merry and is in the middle of overtly pretending that he doesn't see him, right? That's why the whole joke about Master Bag, right? He trips over him and then starts grumbling about tree roots. That is, he sees the Hobbit and he actively pretends he doesn't see the Hobbit. He's obviously in on concealment, right? He is clearly not under the impression that Durnhelm is just another guy. He doesn't even react to Merry being there. He's not even like, whoa, a Hobbit. Maybe I won't mention that. He doesn't even say that, right? He's just like, tree roots, right? Must have been tree roots. I just tripped over right there, right? And then even the kind of the tone of the, so pack yourself up, Master Bag. There's a kind of like, I'm in on a clear sort of, that is not the sound of somebody who is just now uncovering a secret, but willing to go along with it, right? That is the tone of somebody who's already known about this and is sort of speaking on the inside, right, to somebody else who is in the secret. The question then becomes how general among the rest of the Eored was the secret, right? Clearly Merry's presence is known to others. They all kind of agree to look the other way. I don't think they all know who Dernhelm is now, and that of course is the other possibility, right? So the other answer to my question, what understanding could there possibly be between him and Dernhelm if he doesn't know her identity? It could just be Merry's presence, right? I've got a Hobbit stowed away with me, right? Don't say anything, okay, Chief? That could be the agreement. He might not know that Dernhelm is really Éowyn. Because everybody seems to look the other way. I mean, it's like once you get out on the road, maybe, she could take him under her cloak when they left. But like sooner or later, like you can't hide the Hobbit forever, right? So clearly there have to be other people who know. But it's the riding with the king that convinces me that Elfhelm probably did know. Because why else would he allow Dernhelm to attach him/herself to the king's riding? So I don't know. I mean, it's not certain. It's one of those things you can read in a couple different ways. My own choice, my own reading, my own sort of version of the story would be that Elfhelm does know, and he's been entrusted with this secret by Éowyn. But who knows? I could be convinced otherwise. Hey, Ruithriel, whose name I got right the first time. What do we have?
My words, traveler.
Okay, a short while ago, as the elves would recount it. So what, like 2,000 years ago, Ruithriel? Right? Are we talking about something that happened like, maybe back in the later times of the First Age, right? Is that? As the elves would recount it. It's kind of short, as almost anybody would recount it, right? It's only been a few days, or what, at most a couple weeks, that the company passed through here. Short while ago, as the elves would recount it. Remember, Legolas considers the entire history of the kingdom of Rohan short, as the elves would account it. Anyway, but it seems that strange deeds have taken place that I cannot yet explain. Something has happened upon the hilltop. Yeah, I noticed that too. I fear that the company may have encountered a powerful enemy. Even the smallest clue could bring disastrous news to our enemies. You must go and collect some of the charred remains and bring them here for me to study. You will find the charred wood lying upon the ground throughout the burnt tor. Yep, something definitely happened here. So we're going to examine... Oh, sorry. Yeah, you have another one. All right.
Stay a moment.
Some great evil has taken an interest in the burnt tor. At night, shining eyes peer at me from the hilltop, and ominous howls echo throughout the valley. Maybe these wargs know nothing of the company and their task, but I would ask that you seek them out and destroy as many as you can. Okay. If they do have some malicious intent, then perhaps we can stop them before it's too late. The howling came from the burnt tor behind me. Please, Grifflet, take care and return to me when the task is complete. Okay. Very good. Now, here's my question. I have a lower question for you. Shadow wargs. Where did the shadow wargs come from in LOTRO? Like, are they... The Turbine folks just make them up? Is there any warrant for them in the book? Where does this idea come from? Because, I mean... On the one hand, in the book, it just talks about wolves, right? I mean, when they're in the fight on the hilltop, which is this hilltop, right? Sam says to Pippin, right, when Pippin is sort of wishing that he hadn't come, Sam says, "My heart's right down in my toes, Mr. Pippin, but we've some stout folk with us. And whatever lies in store for Gandalf," he says, "I wager it isn't a wolf's belly," right? So he's just like, they're wolves. That seems to be the whole sort of assumption and approach that they take. But what do you guys remember? What do you remember about the wolves? Because it is a fact that the wolves that attack them on this hill seem to be not normal wolves. Madman Motower asks, says, can we not suppose there are somewhat different breeds of wargs, much like wolves and other dogs? We can imagine this. Of course, there's not such, there's no, that kind of taxonomy is not generally something that Tolkien was all that interested in his story by and large. But, anyway, so but he does say something about the wolves here. Wargs, of course, to a certain extent, the wolf-warg distinction is not necessarily one of species, but, oh, nice, I got it before the wolf hit me. Sweet. But again, one of vocabulary, kind of like orc and goblin, not as explicitly as orc and goblin, but of course, warg is just from the Anglo-Saxon word for wolf, wearg. So, the wargs are introduced in The Hobbit. They're clearly unusual wolves, but they're unusual wolves in the same way that the eagles are unusual eagles, The wargs have a language of their own and can talk to the goblins, but of course the eagles also talk, right? So that's kind of a Hobbit thing. It is a thing of the book The Hobbit, right? Of the sort of the world of The Hobbit. Having these animals which are like unto the normal animals that we know, but they are different, sort of, they're more fairy tale creatures than sort of the normal creatures are. Um, oops, sort of misjudged that one in the grass tussocks. Thought that piece of wood was a little closer than it was. Okay. So, yeah, anyway, but so, maintaining in the distinction the game between wolves and wargs doesn't seem to me any really big deal or anything. It doesn't seem, that is to say, I'm not suggesting like they messed that up or got that wrong or something. But what's up with shadow wargs exactly? Is it meant to be just a different species? Is there something sort of different or special about them? Well, okay, so do you guys remember the thing that I'm referring to in the scene on the hilltop in the Fellowship of the Ring when they're surrounded by the wolves? There are a few ways in which the wolves behave rather unusually. One is that sort of the leader of them comes out like as if to defy them, and Gandalf addresses him, "Listen, Hound of Sauron," right? He calls him. So he calls them Hounds of Sauron, which is probably like mostly metaphorical. Do they have a campfire? Is there evidence here of the campfire that the Fellowship made? Because they did camp here, and they made a big fire, and then because then the hobbits were all fighting with burning brands out of the fire. I don't see a campfire, evidence of a campfire. I'm a little confused why there's quite so much grass up here, but I guess it started to grow back. And I guess the general conflagration. But see, the grass didn't actually burn. The ground is black, but it's just the trees that caught fire. So the trees having all their leaves burnt off is just as described in the book. I don't see an actual campsite. Maybe I'm missing it. But anyway, in the morning, the main thing is in the morning, right? After they drive the wolves away, Gandalf lights all the trees on fire, and they're fighting off the wolves. And Legolas's last shot, the arrow is kindled in the air as it flies and plunges into the heart of the wolf chieftain. And the rest of the wolves run away. In the morning, when they wake up, the hobbits are looking around for the bodies of all the wolves that attacked them the night before, and they don't see any. All they see are like the arrows lying there, and the wolf bodies are gone. And the comment that they make, after this is, so we see these weren't ordinary wolves, right? Just as I thought, these were not ordinary wolves, and it's a little bit mysterious. Like, what exactly does that mean? Which way? I'm on the right. I want to make sure I'm going down the right side of the hill. It's not clear exactly what that means. At least in the book, it's not clear what that means. So the Turbine folks, right? They have a choice how they do it, how they interpret that, how they adapt that. And so they've chosen to say, okay, these are not normal wolves. So these are a special species of wolves. These are shadow wargs who have these sort of, apparently in some sense, kind of magical ability to kind of sort of vanish and disappear. They seem to be more intelligent than other wargs. Look at the Ring of Stones up here, right? We knew there was a Ring of Stones. It describes the Ring of Stones, which means that the fire really should be at the center of this, like the campfire. I mean, maybe it's just meant to be. This is the sort of the logs that they use, but yeah, we don't really get a campsite. What's that brown bit? Is that something? Ah, look! It is something. Look at that! It's one of Legos' arrows. That is awesome. I never noticed that before. Oh. Oh. Seriously, Dagrunk. Do we have to do this now? I just made a discovery. I never noticed that before. Oh, honestly. Did you just disarm me? That is super annoying, especially when I was just about to kill you. Okay. It's one of Legos' arrows. See, that's how they found them the next morning, right? The arrows that Legos shot, that Lego shot, was just lying there. Oh, that's so cool. I'm so glad I noticed that brown spot in the middle of the blackness. See, it's like the warg's body was lying there, and so the dirt here was sheltered from the flames. But see, the flames can't have swept across the whole hilltop. I mean, of course there's still grass left, else the company itself would have been incinerated, right? It's not that the whole hilltop was on fire, just the trees. But that is super cool. Are there any others? I guess one of Legos' arrows is cool enough to find. That's a neat little Easter egg that they included there. I totally missed that the first time I came to the Burnt Tor. First 2 times I came to the Burnt Tor. I even had a character who did completionist Eregion, and who now still to this day carries the title The Thorough, one of my favorite titles, and he didn't find that. That's cool. All right. Almost got enough shadow wargs. They're probably going to send me to kill that Uruk again. Oh, 2 of you. That'll be fun. I'll take you all together. All right. So... Alright, Griff, what strong work? Let's stealth up and head back to Ruithrio here. Okay. Grass. Alright. Well, that was awesome. I found Legos' arrow. Oh, man. Stealth fail. Enough with the howling already. Hush. Okay. We're stealthy. All right. There's no not your campfire. Hey, Ruithrio. I was away for no time, as elves account it.
How can I be of service?
It's as you feared, this wood was not burned by natural means. You can tell that the fire was unnatural by looking at the charred wood? A word of command was used to light the fire that kindled this wood. Huh. Okay, so here's the next game. Let's figure out how she knew that.
Stay a moment.
The burning of the Tor was a work of someone very powerful. If the company was so pressed that they were forced to set such a blaze, there will surely be other signs of the battle left upon the hilltop. Go and search for these signs and attempt to recover them as best you can. Be careful, for I am sure that the threat of danger is not yet past and evil may yet lurk. Okay. So this is where we find the spent arrow. But see, I found it even before. I never just noticed it lying in that brown patch before. I mean, when it's all glowy, you barely even... It's not even fair. Okay, so how would we know? So JJ there is thinking about Oh, here's somebody else, which is sometimes inconvenient, but actually will help thin out the wargs a little bit, probably. Yeah. Well, yeah, finding it once it's glowing, that's not the cool thing, right? The cool thing is I found the bear patch and the arrow before it was part of the quest. So let's see. Let's go top down. Wait, where was that handkerchief? Not there, that's a warg. This way. Okay. Hobbit handkerchief. Ah, see, there it is in another brown patch. Didn't see this one. Oh, okay, fine. Fine. I'm looking at a handkerchief. Would you mind? Okay, sorry. Wow. This warg looks really intimidating from this angle. All right. Now, if you don't mind, I'm looking at the handkerchief. Any details on the handkerchief? And in case you're wondering, yes, I'm hoping for a monogram. No, don't see a monogram. Okay, I guess I already collected it. All right. Strange branch. Strange branch? What's so strange about this branch? Is this one of the sticks that the hobbits used to fight off the wolves? Yeah, this is the fire that they built up here. I'm remembering their campfire because I'm pretty sure, isn't this the place where Gandalf makes that awesomely alliterative command? Fling fuel on the fire, he says. I love that. You know that Tolkien did that on purpose, right? Like, fuel and fire, that's a coincidence, right? Hard to avoid. Okay, not impossible to avoid that, but, you know, that can happen. But the egregious choice of the verb fling in order to, you know, fling fuel on the fire. I just absolutely love the... Oh, am I being attacked by the Uruk again? For crying out loud. How many times do I have to kill you? You look not only huge, but also highly spastic from this angle. Anyway, so yeah, I think that's where Gandalf tells them to fling fuel on the fire and stand back to back, and so they're fighting with pointed sticks, and that must be the strange branch in question. Okay, so the reason I ask about the source of the fire and how is it that Ruithriel knows. Okay, all right, because there are a couple. Like one is just by forensic evidence that there's just something different about. Okay, where's that arrow? I found it before. There it is. Yeah, so anyway, it's possible that she's just building it based on forensic evidence, but I don't think so. Because you'd think, like, once you summon fire magically, it's just fire. It just burns. In fact, we have evidence of that, right? When Gandalf makes fire, the fire that he makes is uncanny fire in The Hobbit, right? In the out of the frying pan into the fire chapter. Gandalf makes uncanny wizard fire, which sort of clings and spreads in strange ways. But then it sets fire to everything, and then it sets fire to things and becomes a totally normal fire. So the fire that then comes back and sets alight the very tree on which Gandalf himself is sitting and which would kill him is the fire that he set, right? So the flames actually produced, or, you know, once fire comes, it burns like normal fire. So it's hard for me to see that, you know, any kind of like purely forensic evidence sort of mundane forensic evidence would be able to tell Ruithriel that it was set alight by a word of command. So I'm thinking there must be something else, right? There must be some other kind of perception that she's doing here, that she's able just to sort of figure out, to get this sense that magic was used here. Kind of like the way that Legolas can talk to the rocks here in Eregion, maybe Ruithriel can talk to the wood. And so she just has this sense that that a word of command was used. She can just tell that magic was used upon this. In some sense, that kind of makes more sense to me than her going on purely mundane forensic evidence. Okay.
How can I be of service?
The wargs are an evil much greater than the spies of Saruman. Okay, yeah, you think about what it means.
Mind my words, child.
Okay, though the shadow wargs have been thinned, they still plague the burnt tor, fighting to their last breath. There is some evil malice guiding these creatures that we have not yet faced. You must return to the burnt tor and seek out this menace. The shadow wargs will never relent until all of Eregion lies in ruin. That's their goal? Eregion is already lying in ruin. I know time passes slowly for elves and stuff, and maybe, to you, the fall of Celebrimbor is still current events, but laying Eregion in ruin is kind of funny, don't you think, Ruithriel? Or they have found that which we seek to keep hidden. Let's hope not. The leader of the Shadow Wargs most likely stalks among them, seeking for clues of the company. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll find him up there too. I've already killed him twice, but I'll kill him again. Okay, strange tokens. You must keep them safe and deliver them to Master Elrond. Okay, once again, another elf who does not have the whole picture. Token of the Burnt Tor? Tempting. Gotta go with the stealth level, though. Less tempting. Okay, that's fine. All right, Ruithriel, I'll go back and find that Uruk and kill him again. And then we'll see. Yeah, so Erukheb says, when Gandalf lights the fire on Carothras, I was thinking about that passage too. He says, I have written, Gandalf is here in signs that all can read from Rivendell to the mouths of Anduin. Yeah, I think it's kind of similar to that too. Now, in that case, Erukheb, it's the actual exertion of his power that he's afraid of, right? When he does it, he's not actually talking about the fire itself, right? It's not like there's something about the flames that is distinctly Gandalf, or else, down in the mouths of Anduin, they wouldn't be like, see that fire up there in the mountain? Looks a little strange, right? Kind of looks a little Gandalfian, doesn't it? I mean, that's obviously not what's going on. So it was the fact of his exerting his power that would be in some sense detectable by everybody else. Did you just disarm me on your first blow? Super obnoxious. Anyway, so I'm thinking it must be some kind of memory, some kind of residue of that use of power. So just as Gandalf's exertion of power is really distinctive, so it must leave some sort of trace or memory, I think. So yeah, I love to think that she's talking to the charred wood of the burnt tor, like Legolas was hearing from the stones of Eregion. That would be cool. All right. Let's see. Let's go back to Ruithriel. I think we're just about done with that. All right.
How can I be of service?
I have returned. Yep. Yeah, I was an orc. Yeah, I kind of could have told you that before, but then you wouldn't have given me cake. So I chose to go back and do it this way. That is strange news, for if your description is true, this is no orc of Saruman, but one of the foul orcs of Mordor. Right. Sauron's arm has grown long indeed. A report must be brought back to Rivendell. I love that. So in my interview with Jeffrey Libby, Made of Lions, we were talking about the term that he used is, you've got like they talk about the capital T moments and the little t moments, that is the big Tolkien moments and the little Tolkien moments, in the game. There's obviously the big things that everyone's looking for: the departure of the company from Rivendell, Battle of Pelennor Field, the walking of the paths of the dead, all these huge things from the books that everybody's waiting for. Those are what they call the big T moments. But the little T moments are like the small references that, people don't know Tolkien won't really get, but Tolkien readers will get and appreciate. And I was telling him my favorite little T moments are those moments when somebody in the quest text, or in dialogue in the game, quotes a line from the book, and they almost always do it out of context, because if they do it in context, then it's a direct quotation, and then you get into issues with the text copyright and everything, and they'd have to deal with HarperCollins, and it gets really complicated. But occasionally they will either echo or lift direct little quotations from places in the book and put them out of context into a different character's mouth in the game. And that's one. Sauron's arm has grown long indeed. This was in their debate about the snow on Caradhras. So it's nearby geographically to where this is, right? And they're talking about they're discussing, is this the enemy? Where, is Sauron creating the snowstorm here to try to thwart them in the pass? And somebody, and I think it's Boromir, if I'm remembering correctly, says, Sauron's arm has grown long indeed if he can bring down snow, from all this distance. And I believe it's Gandalf who responds by saying his arm has grown long. So it doesn't prove that that it was Sauron who made the storm. In fact, it seems that it wasn't. It was Caradhras himself. Maybe in collusion with Sauron. We don't know. Who knows? But anyway, Gandalf sort of leaves open that possibility. But anyway, so that's a direct quote. Sauron's arm has grown long indeed. Yeah, very cool. Oops. Sorry, somebody was just... Oh, hey. Look, there's a peddler. Who made the peddler? Somebody was just here and waving at me. Oh, and I didn't see it because of the quest text. Oops. Oops. Sorry.
What do you need?
Okay. Yes, the deed is... Oh, no, we already did this. I just X'd it out instead of saying finish, didn't I? Okay, right. Excellent. So yeah, cake, please. Very good. Okay, back to Echad Dunan. All right. More lore questions. Okay, more lore questions. Then I have a game question for you guys. Okay, Dan asks, what do elves eat? Are they vegetarians? I seem to remember in the books that this is not the case, but lately most renditions of elf food seem to be the non-meat type. Great question. It is certainly true that there is a bias towards depicting elves as vegetarians in modern adaptations and stuff of them. There's no evidence that elves are vegetarians in Tolkien's world. And I would challenge that assumption entirely, actually. I would go so far as to say not only is there no evidence that the elves are vegetarians, I would say it does not make any sense for the elves to be vegetarians. Why? Why should elves be vegetarians? Why should anyone guess or suspect that elves are vegetarians? Because people have this idea of like, well, elves are one with the land, right? And they wouldn't kill animals for food. That would be cruel, right? They're kind to all living creatures, so they wouldn't eat animals. But they'd eat plants? What, I mean, how is eating a plant less cruel? It's exactly the same thing. You take this living, growing creature, you kill it, you cut it down, you chop it up, and you eat its flesh, right? As to whether or not the thing is a plant or an animal is bias on our part, right? And remember, Tolkien was extremely he was all about plant rights. He wasn't an animal rights activist. He was a plants rights activist, right? He was one of the, he said in one of his letters, he's always been a defender of plants, right? He appreciates plants even when other people don't. And so one of the things, one of the things that really activated him is that, nobody cares about plants the way that he does, right? It's just like Treebeard. So the idea of being I'm not trying to criticize vegetarians. I'm just saying it's very selective. I've sometimes heard vegetarians say it's because I don't like, I can't stand the idea of eating a living creature. Well, plants are living. What are plants? Not chopped liver, presumably, but they're, it's a living thing. And again, no one would have been more sensitive to that than Tolkien. So unless you're going to say that elves don't eat at all, then they're gonna, so I actually think that it makes less sense for elves to be vegetarian, because that distinction to say we consider the lives of animals more precious than the lives of plants, that seems to me unelvish, frankly. So yeah. And of course there's also, in addition, as Erokeb is pointing out, lots of evidence to suggest that the elves hunted and things. We know the elves killed animals, as there are many elves who are hunters, even good guys, right? You could say, well, Celegorm was a hunter, as Erokeb just did. But of course, that's not a great argument necessarily, because Celegorm was also a jerk. So you could say that he's... but no, even Finrod, everybody loves Finrod, right? And Finrod went hunting with Celegorm. So there's quite a bit of hunting that the elves do. And of course, Orome is a hunter, right? The Valar also hunt. I don't see any reason to think that there is, again, the attitude towards animals and killing and eating animals is obviously would be done respectfully, just as killing and eating plants presumably would be done respectively. No, I'm not suggesting that the elves ate the Entwives. Where on earth did that come from, you sick people? Was it Tug McGill who suggested that? Oh, typical. Yeah. Good, excellent. What's it? The color that Twitch has given your name is such that I can't even read it. Aslan's Compass. Cool name. A point is being made of Beren going vegetarian. Absolutely. Beren is a vegetarian, but he's a vegetarian in gratitude to the animals who helped him, right? So he forms this sort of special alliance with the animals because the animals came to his assistance, and he's friends with them in this special way. So yes, he killed no creature that was not in the service of Morgoth. So yeah, I mean, it's the fact that a special point is made of that clearly shows that most of the other people around were not vegetarians, but they did not eat the Entwives, obviously.
How can I be of service?
Okay, the safety of the company is out of our hands. We must now turn our attention to our own roles in the coming war. All right, you are welcome. Let's see. How's this sword compare with my other thing there? Oh yeah, no, nothing like. We're all good. Okay. That was awesome. Okay, so here's my right, Madman Modeler suggests that eating critters in service to Morgoth might be hazardous to your health. Yeah, I don't think it suggests. I don't think the text is suggesting that Beren then lived on the servants of Morgoth. that would be really funny, actually. But no. I don't think that they did. Anyway, here's my game question for you guys. What should I do next? That is, so Grifflet is now level 56, and the quests on the far side, the Dimrildale quest, as I recall, are level 60. So I could go and start doing those pretty soon. I mean, maybe next time I can go to the Dimrill Dale, but I might want to... Are there other things here in Eregion I definitely wanted to follow in the path of the Fellowship? Are there other things you guys would like me to see me do here in Eregion? Are there things that of course I'm going to come back into Moria and go down into the Foundations of Stone and all that. You know, there's more to do down there in Moria. I know when I come back the second time. Are there other things that you would want me to do? Other sort of side quests or you know, sort of quest nodes in the parts of Moria that I whipped through during the marathon that you would like to JJ wants several streams of me maxing out my farming skill. It's true, because there's no possible more gripping theater than that. Those of you who have watched my streams with my son know that he is a dedicated crafter already at level 14, and I cannot get him to gallop past I can't get him to gallop past ore. But anyway, okay. So any suggestions? Any suggestions of where Griffith could go? I'm coming towards the end of the stream anyway. I mean, I'm almost done, so I definitely wanted to finish that stuff up today and do the burnt tour. Anything else that you guys want to see? I can go back into Moria. Still have some Moria quests I can go do, but you know, I don't know if I'm quite ready for the Nandohirion yet and going to Othlorien. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll go over and actually, wait, I don't need to go overland. Maybe I'll go to the Dimrill Dale. Yeah, I'd see, Madman Model, where I was thinking about Mirabelle. Yeah, I mean, like, the school is kind of cool, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, wait, where am I? 21st Hall. That's where I am. Where is, turning around the wrong way. Here we are. Let me head out to the Nandohirion. I'll do some of those quests right outside the Dimrill Dale. Yeah, let's head out there, and we'll pick up there next time. Okay. Though the Mirabelle School quest gives me one of my favorite titles, Defender of the Crumbling School. As a university president, I'm particularly fond of that title. But I'll probably just head back to the Dimrill Dale here. Saw the corpse of Durin's Bane time before last, so that was good. All right, here we are at the first hall. Okay. Griffith's never actually been down the stairs. All right, here we are at the high water mark of Griffith's career, where we stood and celebrated at the end of the marathon. Very good. Now, one thing... So this is the entrance on the Lothlorien side. Which is the main entrance? Oh, nice. So it's like dwarf... Whoa. Darn it. It's like a dwarf with big beard and crazy hair. Looks like a Medusa dwarf, frankly. It's a little weird. The curly... Or maybe it's just like his beard that's completely out of control. Blowing in the wind. Huh. 7 stars. on the top. And 6 dwarves, 3 on each side. Wow. That's a little weird. I'm surprised the hammer and anvil, the sign of Durin, isn't worked onto here anywhere. That's what I'm looking for. I was hoping it would be up there on top of the, this little business up here above the helm of the dwarf, but I don't see it. Huh. Yeah, this one is much less understated than the West Gate. Oh yeah, there's the pass, right? See the Dimril, the Redhorn Pass comes down there. Okay. So Khazad-dûm is set between the two Elvish kingdoms, predating them, especially Eregion, certainly, and probably Lothlorien as well, at least Lothlorien under Galadriel. But remember, it was Galadriel who befriended the dwarves of Khazad-dûm, and they would traffic in both directions with the elves of Eregion and with the elves of Lothlorien. They were major allies at the time. This being the Lothlorien side and being the main entrance. That's the thing I'm finding kind of interesting thinking about it. The fact that they have a main entrance at all, is kind of interesting. Like why would the dwarves build like a big, stairs and a huge front door? But since their whole world was subterranean anyway, the gates are really just for interacting with the main, with the outside world, really. But they've obviously put a great deal more effort into thinking about how they're interacting or how they're coming off to or how they're interfacing with the outside world on this side of the mountains than they did on the other side, where they have something which is really a secret door, but whose secret is known, of course, and written on the arch, but still. Okay. Now, let me tell you what I want to find. What I want to find is evidence of the Battle of Azanul-Bazar. That's what I want to find. Because this is Dimril Dale. This is the Nanduhirion, right? That over there is Durin Stone, which is enormous. But this is the Nanduhirion. So the great battle, where's the oak tree? Anybody see an oak tree? There should be an oak tree. Got some pines, but he's not called Thorin Pineshield. He's not called Thorin Birkshield. He's called Thorin Oakenshield. Where are the oaks? Are those oaks over there? Think that's an oak? Doesn't look very oakish. Looks kind of birchish. It's a birch. Where's the oak tree? Maybe the oak tree was burned down. Maybe they cut down the oak tree in order to burn the burned dwarves with it after the battle. Is it one in the middle of pine? Or is this deciduous? Let's see. That looks kind of deciduous. You think? Yeah, that's deciduous. Okay, this might be an oak tree here. Or an ilex, apparently. All right. Right, because this battle has to have taken place right here. This whole valley was filled with goblins, with orcs and dwarves. So the dwarves were coming up from the valley. So they would have come up from down there, right? And they would have had to fight their way. This is relatively flat out here. But then Azog, I'll get him a horse. Yeah, pine leaf, no pine leaves, right? Absolutely not, no. He's not, definitely not Thorin, Pineshield. Do you have a guardian named Pineshield? because you totally should, right? Like that's a thing that should obviously happen, right? But anyway, sorry. Okay, so so we have to imagine Azog the goblin, right? You do? Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear it, Pine Leaf. I figured you must, but that's okay. So so Azog was up here. So right on the steps, right on the doorstep of Moria. That's where Nine would have been killed, and Dian would have come and slain Azog up there. So yeah, I think, because remember Dian comes back and he says that he looked into Moria, right? So he would have been up this. He wouldn't have been down here. He would have been up there, and seeing it and like feeling the presence of Durin's Bane. Right, the Balrog doesn't actually come to the door, but he can sense that it's still there. So we're being asked to imagine. So I'm trying to envision this because I can't imagine they didn't, right? I mean, this is the kind of thing that I've never known the Turbine people just to whiff on, right? I mean, that you've got to be thinking of the Battle of Azanulbazar when you come to this place, right? I mean, you've got to. It's one of the most, it's the most important historical event that happened here. I guess you could argue, Durin looking into Mirror was also big, but Battle of Azanulbazar, come on. So anyway, so I've got I'm assuming therefore that they were thinking of the Battle of Azanulbazar, at least in part, when they designed this. So it needs to fit. This being the position that Azog would have taken up defensively, right? So he's standing here and overlooking the whole battle, because that you can easily imagine, right? If we go back up there, we can easily put ourselves into the position of Dian, Ironfoot, and Azog, right? So they were set up, and these are. Hey, are these deciduous trees? These oaks? Maybe. It wouldn't have been up here anyway. Thorin never made it up this far. It was only Dian who was up here, because he says that he alone came and looked in. So he's looking in, right? What does he see when he peeks in? He's like, okay, I can see a little bit of Moria, right? Some lamps, some of the halls, but he's getting a definite like Balrogian feeling, right? So he's like, that's no good. Anyway, so here's Azog standing here looking down. And so here's what he sees. So he sees the whole battle. So the dwarves would be coming. He'd be looking at the captains of the dwarves. This is really small, though. It's really narrow for a battlefield. I mean, not a huge percentage of the battle could have taken place in this little slot. I'm a little puzzled at the layout. That is why they have... I guess it makes some sense. Because it's called the East Gate, right? So they make the gate looking out to the east. But then the valley itself basically stretches, not quite north-south, but, northwest-southeast. So this whole valley would have been part of the battle. The battle would have been taking place there. And only at the end. So in fact, actually, that position on the top of the stairs would have been a terrible place to be trying to run a battle from, because you can't see them most of it. You'd think he'd be in a position out here somewhere, like up by Durin's Stone or something. Some little vantage out here. Anyway, sorry. Stable Master. Hey, what's up? Okay, so it is very defensible. I know, absolutely. I agree with that. If you're going to make a last stand, you want to make it there. Limited approach, higher ground, absolutely. No, that's all good. But hey, Kiriana, good to see you over here. But yeah, it's again, he wouldn't be able to see the majority of the battle. I mean, once they were in here, it was over. I mean, how many orcs would he have left if the dwarves made it all the way around the corner here? Yeah. Interesting. Okay. All right. I think I need to sign off. Yeah, I do. I got to go get my kids. All right. So Griffith will be here in the camp, ready to get some quests for next time. We'll play around here in Nanduhirian next time. See what we find. And yeah, cool. All right, excellent. So thanks very much, everybody, for joining me. So remember, tomorrow is the Wigan Marathon starting at noon, and I look forward to discovering some new things with you, and you guys can all laugh at me while I discover new things. And that'll be fun. And then I'll be back for my regular stream next Friday, and who knows, maybe there will be another Son of Wigan stream in the meantime. So we'll see. Anyway, thanks very much, everybody, and I will see you guys soon. Bye now.